Mr. Soni.
As you please, Chairperson. Chairperson, we would like to lead, with your leave, the evidence of Dr. Silas Ramaite today.
Thank you. Dr. Ramaite, please place your full names on record.
My full name's Chairperson and Commissioners is Mashau Silas Ramaite.
Yes, are you going to take an oath or affirmation?
The oath, Chairperson and Commissioners.
Yes. Do you swear that the evidence you will give will be the truth and nothing but the truth? If so, raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
I do, so help me God.
Thank you, you are duly sworn.
Chairperson, may I just point out that the main reason for calling Dr. Ramaite is he served as the acting NDPP during a period in 2004, and he occupied various positions, senior positions in the NPA.
Yes.
Dr. Ramaite, can I ask you, in respect of the evidence you're about to give, did you make an affidavit?
Yes, I did.
Chairperson, the affidavit appears at page 232 onwards of the evidence leaders' statements and affidavits files.
Yes, Mr. Soni.
Now, Dr. Ramaite, do you confirm that what's contained in this affidavit is true and correct?
I do confirm.
Now, just want to ask you, in relation to the affidavit that you made, is it correct that you made the affidavit in response to affidavits that had been made by Advocate Piccoli and Advocate Ackerman relating to matters at the NDPP?
That is correct.
And when you compiled your affidavit, what documents did you have to refer to in respect of the matters that are dealt with in your affidavit?
I did not have any document. I did not have access to any official documents.
Okay, so let's just deal with access to documents. You served in various positions in the NDPP, in the NPA. I'm going to come to those in a moment. Can I ask you, are you still with the NPA?
I'm no longer with the NPA. I took early retirement in August 2019.
All right. And since then, have you had access to any documents?
I have not had access to any official documents.
So just to confirm, the documents that, the affidavit that you have made is based largely on the documents that were contained in the affidavits of Advocate Ackerman and Advocate Piccoli.
That is correct.
Now, can I ask you, in relation to the positions you served in the NPA, you deal with that in paragraphs 6 onwards of your affidavit. But can we give the commissioners a synopsis of the senior positions you occupied at the NPA?
In particular, after the coming into operation of the NPA Act, I was appointed as a Director of Public Prosecutions in Pretoria, responsible for North Gauteng, and it also included Mpumalanga and the now Limpopo and the Val Triangle.
And in that position, who was the senior person?
I was the Director of Public Prosecutions.
Oh.
I was the most senior person.
Oh. And what was the next senior position that you occupied?
The next senior position was that of a Special Director of Public Prosecutions in the Office of the National Director of Public Prosecutions.
Before that, didn't you serve as the of the DPP in what was the Pretoria High Court?
That is correct, I did.
And who was in charge of the office at the time you were appointed?
At the time that I was appointed, Dr. Yandi Oliveira was the Attorney General. But after the coming into operation of the NPA, the title of Attorney General changed into that of Director of Public Prosecutions.
And can I then ask you, for what periods did you serve in that office?
I served as Director of Public Prosecutions from 1998 up to 2001, when I was moved to head office as the Special Director of Public Prosecutions and part of the advisory team of the National Director.
Who was who?
Who was Mr. Bulelani Muka.
And thereafter?
After serving as a Special Director of Public Prosecutions, I was appointed by Mr. Nuka, by the President on the recommendation of Mr. Nuka, as a Deputy National Director of Public Prosecutions.
And was anybody else appointed as a further deputy?
Mr. Leonard McCarthy was also appointed. He was appointed as head of the Directorate for Special Operations. I was appointed as head of what was then called the National Special Services Division, which consisted of the Sexual Offences and Community Affairs Unit, the Priority Crimes Litigation Unit, this Witness Protection, and there were four. It was the PCLU, SOCA, Witness Protection.
You are at paragraph 12 of your statement.
Paragraph 12. Thank you, Commissioner. Yes. I was appointed to be in charge of the National Special Services Division, responsible for the PCLU, that is the Priority Crimes Litigation Unit, the Specialized Commercial Crimes Unit, the Sexual Offences and Community Affairs Unit, and the Witness Protection Unit. Thank you, Commissioner.
Yes, Doctor, there is no problem if you refer to the affidavit. These matters happened about 20 years, more than 20 years ago. So please refer to your affidavit to refresh your memory.
Thank you. I'll do it.
Just one other matter. You say Advocate McCarthy was the second deputy NDPP, and he was in charge of the DSO.
Yes.
Is the DSO colloquially known as the Scorpions?
That is correct.
Now, in regard to the evidence that you deal with in your affidavit and that I want to deal with today, I want to refer to specific aspects of your affidavit. Can I ask you first, you were appointed the Deputy Attorney General of the so-called Transvaal Division at the time when Dr. D'Oliveira was the head. Am I correct?
I was first appointed as a Deputy Attorney General.
Yes.
Yes, as one of the deputies of Dr. Yandi Oliveira.
Right. And then you became the DPP.
That is correct.
In place of Dr. D'Oliveira.
That is correct.
What happened to Dr. D'Oliveira when you became DPP?
Dr. D'Oliveira was appointed as a Deputy National Director of Public Prosecutions, responsible for prosecutions. In other words, he was responsible for all the directors of public prosecutions.
Including yourself?
Yeah, including myself. That is correct.
And he was moved to head office?
That is correct.
And you remained at what I would call the Pretoria office?
That is correct.
All right. I'd like us to deal firstly with the matters that you inherited, as it were, from Dr. D'Oliveira. What type of cases was he doing?
Well, there were many other cases, but of significance, and I think for purposes of the present situation, there were two categories of cases. There were cases, well, that related to mainly the Boeremag, the ones relating to the Boeremag and the right-wingers. Those were supervised or handled by Advocate Fick. Yes. And there were cases that involved the former, well, the security forces, mainly the security police, the intelligence officers, and to a limited extent the military. Those were being handled by Advocate Anton Ackerman. But at that time, Advocate Ackerman was actually busy with the voter Basson matter.
Yes. And you were in overall control of the office at the time?
That is correct.
Now, the Commission has heard about cases emanating from the Goldstone Commission. Can you tell the Commission more about that?
Yes, that is correct. At the time that Dr. De Oliveira was the DPP, he was also the chief evidence leader in the Goldstone Commission. So when the Goldstone Commission wrapped up its work, he came over to the Attorney General's office with the dockets that featured before the Goldstone Commission.
Yes. And what type of cases were those, the Goldstone Commission cases?
Well, most of them related to the security forces, but there were some that actually featured before the TRC Commission.
But they were before the Goldstone Commission, before the TRC had started its
That is
work.
correct. That is correct.
And what effectively, I'm just trying to understand the situation, is persons who had been prosecuted in terms of what had happened at the Goldstone Commission had then applied to the TRC for amnesty.
That is correct.
Mr. Ramaite, just look at paragraph 16 of your statement. I may be missing something where you say only one police investigator who was part of the investigating team of the Goldstone Commission who assigned to deal with these cases. And who was it?
I can, commissioners and chairpersons, I cannot recall the name. It escapes me. I tried as I could, but what I do know is he was actually a police officer who was part of the investigating team that was assisting Dr. Jan de Oliveira at the Goldstone Commission.
Yes.
But I cannot recall the name, yes, unfortunately.
As the evidence leader says, it was long ago. Okay, you may proceed, Mr. Soni.
As you please, Commissioner. In regard to the single investigator you mentioned at paragraph 16, prior to your coming to the office, was there always only one investigator, or were there more investigators?
Well, at that time I was a deputy, so I was not au fait with the matters that the Attorney General, Dr. Jan de Oliveira. I only came to know after I took over from Dr. Jan de Oliveira that there was this one investigator. In fact, he was stationed at the office of the DPP at that stage.
Now, when you came, though, this officer, this police officer, what was the instruction given to him thereafter?
He had a number of dockets that he was actually investigating, and then that was my understanding. And in fact, I think he liaised directly with Advocate Ackerman, but I never liaised directly with him.
And in regard to, and did he remain at your disposal?
He remained for a short while, but there arose some tension between the office of the DPP in particular and
That's your office now?
Yes. And the National Commissioner of Police, which then led into the National Commissioner of Police withdrawing this police officer from assisting in the. Remember that those are cases that came mainly from the Goldstone Commission.
Yes.
And he had those dockets in his possession, and the National Commissioner instructed that those dockets should actually be given to the office of the DPP.
Now,
So was that Commissioner Jackie Silibi?
Commissioner Jackie Silibi, that is correct, Commissioner.
Now, before that, before the instruction was given that those dockets be returned, now I want to personalize it. It's not just the office of the DPP, because now at that stage you are the DPP.
Yes.
So Commissioner Selebi tells this officer to return the dockets to you.
Yes.
Did he consult you or the NDPP before that happened? Are you aware?
Well, I mean, the dockets were sort of, in a sense, literally dumped in the office of the DPP. I then called the National Director of Public Prosecutions.
Well, we'll come to that in a minute. I just want to clear this up. When you say the dockets were dumped, what do you mean?
Well, remember that he had them in his possession because he was the investigator. In fact, he was still in the process of investigating them. But after the instruction from the National Commissioner, he returned. Well, in fact, he gave the dockets over to the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions.
Yeah, I'm just trying to work out the mechanics, because it seems to be quite a serious matter that dockets in the possession of the police are just given or handed over to your office. What was said at the time of that handing over?
Well, it was said that the National Commissioner has instructed that these dockets should be taken to the office of the DPP.
And what was the response of the DPP to that instruction?
Well, my response was that the dockets are actually still under investigation, and once the investigation had been completed, we needed to take a decision on whether to prosecute or not.
I suppose what I'm asking is, were you happy that this process had now taken this turn?
Not at all. I was not happy at all.
All right. What did you do about that?
I then called the National Director of Public Prosecutions and informed him about the situation.
And what did he do?
The arrangement was that the dockets should be taken to head office.
I'm trying to understand who took these documents, who took these decisions, Dr. Ramayite. So when you say the arrangements, what I want to know is who took the decisions that the dockets be transferred from the DPP, where they were dumped, to the office of the NDPP.
It is the National Director himself.
Yes. I think let's just keep that so we know whom to attribute certain actions to. Is that okay?
That's
and if you can't remember, that's fine. But it just would help because you are the person closest to those events, and it would help to know who took decisions and what the response to those decisions were.
Yeah,
Yes.
I understand that.
Dr. Ramayite, I think you'll find some help, and it's a lot of dockets. The number 400 is mentioned. Go to your paragraph 23 and see if it can help you.
Yes.
You can read it if it is relevant. Read it out aloud.
Chairperson and commissioners, I think those are the reference to the 400. It's something different.
Or something different.
Yes.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah.
now that is the dockets. First of all, we have the dockets that came from the DPP. That came from the Goldstone Commission, and then thereafter, I might not have included it in my affidavit. And thereafter, the national director instructed all the directors of public prosecutions who had cases related to TRC matters to be transferred to head office. So that's the 400 or somewhere about there that I'm referring to in that paragraph.
Oh, yes, because I was just trying to find out how many dockets or estimated dockets were then transferred.
I do not have the number, and I cannot recall, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Soni.
Dr. Ramaite, let's then look at the second decision that the NDPP, who was Mr. Bulelani Mbuka at that time.
Yes.
You referred to it at paragraph 18. What was his decision in regard to TRC cases?
Well, his decision was that all cases that are TRC related should be transferred to the office of the NDPP.
All right. Now, in order to accommodate those cases, what did he do? Can you deal with it in your statement? Can you tell the Commission?
He established a unit that was called the Human Rights Investigative Unit, HRIU, which was headed by Judge Vincent Saldana.
Well, now Judge Vincent Saldana.
Yes, now
Vincent
Judge
Saldana
Vincent
at that
Saldana.
time.
Yes, that is
Yes.
correct. Yes.
Now, in regard to those matters, to the best of your knowledge, were there any prosecutions?
There were no prosecutions.
All right. And then, how long did the Human Rights Investigative Unit operate for?
It operated until about 2000, I think.
So it's about a year.
A year, yes.
And what happened to those dockets, the dockets that had been given to them?
They were transferred to the Directorate of Special Operations, the DSO.
And where was that unit based? Was it based at your office at the DPP, the DPP's office, or was it based at the NDPP's office?
It was the DS. They actually resorted under the Deputy National Director of Public Prosecutions, who was Advocate McAdam. Oh, sorry, Advocate McCarthy.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and they were at head office.
Yeah, they were at head office.
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, in regard to those matters, were there any prosecution?
There were no prosecutions.
Okay. And then you say at paragraph 20, you were then appointed as the Special Director of Public Prosecutions.
Yes, that was in 2001.
All right. Now, can I ask you, was that a special, position that was created, or was it in existence?
No, it was specifically created.
All right. And what was the purpose of creating that office?
There were a number of initiatives that the National Director of Public Prosecutions had in mind, and the idea was to provide specialized focus on specific categories or types of crime, such as specialized commercial matters, sexual offenses,
Commercial crimes?
commercial crimes mainly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And these were to be specialized units?
Yes.
And Who is going to be in overall control of those units?
I, as the Deputy National Director of Public Prosecutions, responsible for, they actually fell under what was then called the National Special Services Division. And I was the overall, the person who was overall in charge.
What? One of the units that was created was the PCLU.
That is,
Will you tell the commissioners what that unit was about?
it was intended to deal with what we referred to as priority crimes. And one of the priority crimes, of course, was matters arising from the TRC.
Because that is what the NDPP had determined. You remember you told us?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes. Right. And who was in charge of the PCLU? Who was the head of the PCLU?
Advocate Ackerman was in charge. I actually recommended that he be appointed as a special director responsible for priority crimes because I had worked with him. He was my deputy in the office of the DPP.
Yes. Sorry, Mr. Soni, you seem to be moving to paragraph 21. Mr. Ramaite, in paragraph 22, and Mr. Lungisa Josi will forgive me, I can't place him, and I mean no disrespect. Who is he and where is he?
Mr. Lungisa Josi was the advisor of the National Director of Public Prosecutions. He was in the office of the National Director of Public Prosecutions. He was, I think, he was a senior state advocate at that time. So I worked with him in the office of the National Director of Public Prosecutions.
The second part, where is he?
I think he is, well, he works in the same, I think it's the same company as Mr. Nuka.
Okay, thank you.
I stand to be corrected, but the last time that I can remember, he was working with Mr. Nuka.
Yes, thank you.
So
you proceed, Mr. Soni.
Thank you. In paragraph 22, you say that Mr. Ackerman was appointed by a presidential proclamation.
That is correct.
Right. Now, you name a number of offenses that they dealt with, and you refer to terrorism, sabotage, high treason, sedition, international crimes under the state, under the Rome Statute, and foreign military assistance, and other priority crimes. Amongst those other priority crimes, I take it would be TRC related.
That is correct.
And you say these had been declared, you say in paragraph 23, these had been declared as priority crimes by the NDPP in 2003.
That is correct.
Now, this is the issue that I think Commissioner Como was asking you about earlier, these 400 cases. Where did they come from?
There were cases that were already at national office. We had those that came from the DPP offices. We had those that were in the various DPP offices.
Around the country?
Around the country, and then on the instruction of the National Director of Public Prosecutions, they were taken to head office.
Right. And the 400 refers to all the cases that were sent to that office,
yes.
Not only TRC-related cases.
Yeah, the majority, well, the majority of them, were TRC cases. Or rather, let me put it in this way.
Yeah,
most of them were TRC cases.
who would know what those cases, those 400 cases were about?
Advocate Anton Ackerman, SC, and Advocate Chris McAdam.
Just in relation to the various positions you occupied, where was your task mainly operational or mainly supervisory?
My task was mainly supervisory. I was not involved in the day-to-day operations such as decision-making, actual prosecutions. It was supervisory.
And so the various memoranda have been presented as part of the Kalata High Court application. Most of those memoranda relating to these matters emanate from Advocate Ackerman and Advocate McAdam, am I correct?
That is correct.
And it is based on those memoranda that you relied on for your affidavit.
That is correct.
And in general, your knowledge of these matters, save where you were personally involved, is from what emanates from what they told you or the documents they had prepared.
Yeah, what they would have reported to me. They provided us with monthly reports which were presented every month at the Executive Committee of the National Prosecuting Authority, which was chaired by the National Director of Public Prosecutions.
Right. And that's the point you make at paragraph 24 of your affidavit.
Yes.
All right. Now, things seem to have been moving forward slightly after the National Commission of Police had decided that they would not investigate TRC matters. But things came to a sudden halt in July 2004. What happened then?
Mr. Nyuka resigned from his position as National Director of Public Prosecutions.
Is there any reason that you know that he resigned?
It's difficult for me to mention any specific reason. What I do recall was, I think it was over a weekend, he called me, as well as I later came to understand, Mr. Lungisa Josi, and asked us to draft a letter of resignation, and that's as far as I was involved.
So you assisted him in drafting his letter of resignation?
At his request, yes.
Well, Mr. Nguka is going to come and give evidence, and I'm sure he will explain his reasons.
Yes.
Okay. Now, who was appointed in his place?
I was appointed in his place.
As what?
As an acting National Director of Public Prosecutions,
All right.
but still retaining my position as Deputy National Director of Public Prosecutions.
Okay. Now, you say in paragraph 26 of your affidavit, during the period 2003, 2004, and 2005, the PCLU, this is the unit operating under Advocate Ackerman and Chris McAdam.
That is correct.
You say they identified a number of TRC cases, and would you just tell the commissioners some of the more relevant of those?
Yeah, the one I can remember was the Eugene Terblanche, and then there was Buile Blani and Gideon Nivot. I think there was also a Fanzale and Kuole. I think it's Kuole.
Yes.
Kule.
Kule, is it Kule? Thank you, Commissioner.
Now, in your, so at that time, at the time of the Newhout matter, you were the acting NDPP.
Yes.
All right. Now, and then there was another matter. This related to the accused or the police officers accused of attempting to murder Reverend Frank Chicani.
That is correct.
But I want, first of all, to deal with the Newtown matter. What can you tell the commissioners about that matter?
Well, the new vote matter involved the murder of 3 anti-apartheid activists known as the PEPCO 3. New vote and the others had been denied amnesty in 1999. They launched an application for a review of the decisions to refuse them amnesty, and then Nivot died in 2005. And what I do know is that the review was delayed by some 5 years and was only finalized in 2009 when the High Court ruled that an amnesty committee must be convened to hear the application. Now, that is the application of Van Zyl.
Do you know whether that ever took place?
The case against Van Zyl and Kule was provisionally withdrawn in 2009 pending finalization of the re-hearing of the amnesty application. As far as I know, and I stand to be corrected, the amnesty committee was never reconvened and the case against Van Zyl and Kule was never reinstated.
Can I just ask you, do you know where Kule is?
I have no idea, Commissioner. I do not know.
Maybe that's something that I must disclose. He's late, he stayed in Letlhabile. I'm not testifying because
Yes.
the investigators can get contact. I know because I attended his funeral in Letlhabile in 2018, 2019. His younger sister was married by my elder brother. That's how I know it. And that is for the investigators.
Oh, yes.
And I had to disclose that. You may proceed.
As you please, Sir Commissioner. Now, the other case that was of importance while you were the acting NDPP is the case of the 3 accused in the, or the 3 persons accused of attempting to murder Reverend Frank Chicani.
Yes, that is the poisoning of Reverend Frank Chicani.
Yes. Can I ask you, you have some personal knowledge of these matters. When I say personal knowledge, relating to what happened in that initial attempt to prosecute.
Yeah. I do not have personal knowledge of the content of the docket, of course, but Advocate Ackerman briefed me about the matter.
Yes.
And
Well, before we get to that, when are we talking about? What period are we talking about?
that would have been November 2004,
Right.
when I was acting National Director of Public Prosecutions.
Now, it appears from both your affidavit and Advocate Ackerman's affidavit that Advocate Ackerman approached you on the 11th of November 2004. Can you recall that?
Yes, that is correct. I do.
Now, what happened in that interaction between you and Advocate Ackerman?
He reported to me that he had received a call from Mr. Wagner, who was an attorney representing the accused in the Chicani matter. And that Wagner had advised him not to proceed with the arrest and charging of his clients. Wagner was representing the three accused.
Who were the 3 accused?
It was Major General Smith, Christopher Smith, Colonel Gert Otto, and Johannes van Staden.
Yes. And what did Mr. Ackerman tell you?
He also told me that Wagenaar also told him that he was going to receive a telephone call from the Ministry of Justice advising him that he should not proceed with the case against Smith, Otto, and Van Staden, and that the arrest must be, and the prosecution must be put on hold.
Yes. Now, what was is this before the Ministry of Justice contacted Mr. Ackerman? This conversation between you and Mr. Ackerman?
Yeah, that is as far as that is before the minister contacted me.
Right.
And we're speaking, Minister Bridget Mabandla?
Well, that's later. Advocate Ackerman did not mention any name at that stage.
Oh, okay.
He just said someone from the ministry. He will receive a call from the Ministry of Justice.
Okay.
It is I who later received a call from the Minister of Justice, who is Ms. Bridget Mabandla, at a later stage.
I see.
Dr. Ramaiche, the chronology is important. Let us deal with the chronology. Mr. Ackerman approaches you and says, look, I've received this call from Mr. Wagner, who told me that somebody from the ministry is going to tell me that these matters must be put on hold.
Yes.
He approaches you, I take it, for your views on what to do.
He was informing me as a supervisor.
Okay. What did you tell him?
Before that, at the same time, he also spoke, or rather told me that after he had spoken to Wagner, what's the name confused, Wagner, he did indeed receive a call from an official from the Ministry of Justice.
Did he name the official?
No, he did not name the official.
All right. And then?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that was in relation to the Chicani matter, in fact. I told them that I had no personal knowledge about exactly what was happening. And in fact, I expressed surprise that Mr. Wagner, who is the attorney representing the accused, would in fact mention the ministry instead of making representations to the Office of the National Director of Public Prosecutions.
And what was your attitude towards the ministry being involved in this matter?
I was not happy with that.
All right. What you then say at paragraph 32 that you advised Mr. Ackerman it would be better to wait to get a better understanding of this of the matter.
That is correct.
Right. Now, what happened after you had spoken to Mr. Ackerman?
After I had spoken to Ackerman, I then received a call from the Minister of Justice, a telephone call from the Minister of Justice, Mrs. Bridget Mabandla.
Before you go on, did you know Minister Mabandla?
Yes, I knew her.
Have
I
you
had
had-
interacted with her before.
Sorry,
I had interacted with her before.
on many occasions or on a few occasions?
Well, I wouldn't say on many occasions, but on a few occasions. More especially during my tenure as acting National Director of Public Prosecutions.
While you were the
acting
yes.
NDPP.
Okay. And they were cordial relations?
Yeah, there were cordial relations between me and
All right. Now, Minister Mabandla phones you. What does she say to you?
She told me that there is a task team which was appointed by what is called the Directors General Forum to develop a mechanism to deal with TRC cases.
Yes. And what else did she tell you? Well, what was your reaction
Well,
to
I mean,
Sorry, Dr. Ramaite, before you give your reaction, prior to the telephone discussion with Minister Mabandla, did you know of the existence of the Directors General Forum?
I got to know it during my acting stint as acting NDPP, but I was not familiar with it. But I did have some understanding of what it is from previously, because previously my younger brother was actually the Director General of the Public Service and Administration, and I do know that he chaired that forum. So I knew of its existence.
Thank you.
Yes, please, Chairperson. And did you know what its role was?
I did not have any, specific knowledge of its role.
Now, Minister Mabandla tells you that there is a task team which was appointed by the Directors General Forum to develop a mechanism to deal with TRC cases.
That is correct.
Well, what was your reaction to Minister Mabandla?
What was this mechanism? Did the Minister explain?
No, she did not explain.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sir.
Yes, what was your reaction to Minister Mabandla?
My reaction was to express a concern. I did tell her that I'm concerned about an outside process or mechanism, especially which involves the executive, because in my view, the Directors General actually report directly to the executive, and therefore were, in my view, part of the executive. And I was not happy with the involvement of the executive in anything that deals with the prosecution of cases.
What prompted your concern, just as the acting NDPP?
Well, what prompted my concern was hearing that there was an outside forum, and particularly in relation to a mechanism of dealing with the TRC cases, because we, as the prosecution, were already seized with those cases, and more particularly at that time, the Chicani matter.
Yes, but just at a level of delegation of powers, who is it that determines who should be prosecuted and who should not be prosecuted?
It is the prosecution, and I'm saying prosecution broadly, but it is the national director, the DPPs, as well as the prosecutors.
Did that play a role in your concern?
It did indeed.
And what was the nature of the concern?
The nature of the concern was it cut through the prosecutorial independence of the prosecution.
Okay. Now, what you then say the minister insisted that the prosecution of all TRC cases must be put on hold until the development and adoption of guidelines.
That is correct.
Yeah. Is that what she told you?
Yes.
So she starts off with the particular arrest that was going to be made. And now she then says, but it doesn't apply only to that case, but to all cases.
Yes.
Right. And what was your reaction to the minister in regard to that? Because this is now not prosecution only in regard to one matter, but all matters falling into this category of TRC cases.
Again, I raised a concern with her because, that's what I recall, telling her that we already have prosecution policies. that was actually developed and agreed upon by the National Director of Public Prosecutions together with the Directors of Public Prosecutions as envisaged in Section 179 of the Constitution. And in my view, there was the prosecution directives, the policy directives that we had were sufficient to cater for all conceivable cases.
And what was the minister's reaction to that?
Well, she said you must not proceed until these guidelines are finalized.
Now, clearly from what you say, that reflected an intrusion by the minister into the independence of the prosecution, of the NDPP.
That is correct, particularly also viewed in light of the decision that had already been made in respect of the Chicani matter, that we were going to proceed with the arrest and that we were going to proceed with the prosecution.
And you say, Dr. Ramaite, that you conveyed that message clearly to the minister.
Yes.
That this was an intrusion of your powers.
Well, I did not say so in so many words, but I did say I am concerned at you as the minister having to direct us what to do, because that infringes upon the prosecutorial independence of the prosecution.
You were diplomatic.
Yes, I was diplomatic, to put it honestly.
How did the minister respond to it?
Well, she actually said, "You must stop. You must not proceed with the charging and the prosecution."
So she gave you an order to stop,
An instruction.
an instruction.
Yes.
Now, having received the instruction from the minister, what did you do?
I then called Ackerman, because remember that this flows from what Ackerman had said to me before. I then called him and I told him that I had received an instruction from the minister that the investigation and prosecution of all TRC, and that's what she had said, and specifically when she referred to the guidelines, that she had instructed that all investigation and the investigation and prosecution of all TRC-related cases must be put on hold pending the development and the adoption of the guidelines. We had a lengthy, I cannot remember all the details of my discussion with Ackerman, but because Ackerman was actually insisting that we must proceed. And I then said to him, I actually pleaded with him and said, well, look, let's just wait and get an understanding of what exactly is happening. But at the end of it, what the minister had said was placing an effective moratorium on all TRC cases.
Dr. Ramaite, I must ask you this. Did you then instruct Advocate Ackerman not to proceed with the matter? Well, firstly, there was going to be an arrest, and then there was going to be the matter in court.
Yes, I did give him an instruction based on what the minister had said, and with the expected. Although I had reservations around the guidelines, but she had said that there were guidelines that were being prepared, and I said, well, look, let's wait.
Yes. But I mean, you gave the instruction to him after the minister had given you the instruction.
Yes, not to proceed.
Yes. Now, one of the things that I'm obliged to put to you about your interactions with Mr. Ackerman is he also deals with this interaction between you and him about this matter. And I'm going to read it to you. Commissioners, it is part of his affidavit, which appears at Annexure FA8 in the Kalata Papers, and deals with this interaction at paragraph 17. You might remember, Commissioners, that this paragraph was read to the
It's Annex
witness on...
Chawat, Mr. Soni, come
Sorry,
again.
ma'am.
It's Annex Chawat,
Annexure FA8.
8.
8 to the Kalata Papers.
It's what at page 388.
Page 217 of the Kalata Papers.
Page
as I
8.
understand.
Yeah.
Oh, it's sorry, you correct, Commissioner Como. 381. So this is what he says about that interaction, and I'm going to read it to you in full.
This is paragraph 17
Paragraph 17, yes,
on
Commissioner.
page 388.
On page 388, yes. It says, on the morning of 11 November 2004, the police was on the verge of effecting the arrests of 3 former officers of the security police on charges which related to the attempted murder of the Reverend Frank Chicani, the former head of the South African Council of Churches, in 1989 by poisoning. The 3 former policemen were former Major General Christopher Smith, Colonels Kurt Otto, and Johannes Manni van Staden. None had applied for amnesty for this crime. Now that's what you also say in your affidavit.
That is correct.
Then he goes on at paragraph 17.1. On the same morning, I received a call from Jan Wagner, the attorney for the above-mentioned suspects. He told me that I would receive a phone call from the Ministry of Justice and I would be advised that the case against his clients must be put on hold. That's what he told you as well.
That is correct.
Then he says, shortly thereafter, I received a phone call from an official of the then Ministry of Justice. I was informed by the said official that a decision had been taken that the Chicani matter should be put on hold pending the development of guidelines to deal with the TRC cases. I told him that only the NDPP could give me such an instruction. Now, that's more or less what I understand he told you.
That is correct.
Now, this is what he then says at paragraph 17.3. A few minutes later, the NDPP contacted me and instructed me not to proceed with the arrests.
Yes.
I believe that it can be safely assumed that the NDPP was instructed at a political level to suspend these cases.
Yes.
Now, Dr. Ramaite, the difference might be small, but I must put to you that the one essential difference between what you say, what you said today, and what you say in your affidavit, you had told Mr. Ackerman, and what Mr. Ackerman says is, he doesn't say that you told him that the person who had given you the instruction and upon which instruction you had acted was the minister. You see that?
Yes, yes. But if my memory serves me well, I did in fact tell him that I had received a call from, because there is this chain of events which then culminated in me saying to him, let's not proceed until we get an understanding of what is happening.
Well, you went further, Dr. Remy.
Yes,
in
yes,
fairness,
absolutely.
you instructed him.
Excuse me?
You instructed him. I'm just putting in context what actually happened.
Yes.
Right. But we're dealing now with the difference between what you say happened in your last interaction with him on this issue and the fact that he said, he assumes that it came from high up, whereas you say you did tell him it was the minister who had given you that instruction.
Yes, that is correct.
And you, as you recall the interaction, that is what happened.
That is
you did tell him that instruction came
from the
to
minister.
you from the minister,
Yeah.
and you were thereafter instructing him to stop this prosecution.
Correct.
Now, in paragraphs 34 and
Mr. Soni,
yes,
at an appropriate time, you must allow for tea adjournment.
as Chairperson, it may be an appropriate time because I am
Yes.
moving to a slightly different issue.
We'll adjourn and reconvene at 11:20.
As you please, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Sonny.
Thank you, Chairperson. Dr. Ramaite, just to finalize this part of your evidence, the Minister had told you it was not only the case of the Frank Chicani accused, but all TRC cases.
That is correct.
And the instruction was in relation to TRC cases.
That is correct.
Right. After that instruction was issued, what was the position in relation to TRC cases?
No further prosecutions took place.
Now, in fairness to you, Dr. Ramaite, you've raised in paragraphs 35, 36, 37, and 38 your concerns about the minister's intrusion into prosecution territory, if I can call it that.
That is correct.
Right. And do you confirm that? You've already alluded to that during your evidence earlier this morning.
I do confirm.
Now, you were appointed, I think, from about the 1st of August as the acting NDPP, is that correct?
That is correct.
How long did your acting stint or your acting period last?
From August 2004 to January 2005.
And what happened then?
Advocate Pikoli was then appointed from the 1st of February as the National Director of Public Prosecutions. And then I reverted back to serving in my capacity as Deputy National Director of Public Prosecutions, but still responsible for the PCLU and reporting to the National Director of Public Prosecutions.
That's now Advocate Pikoli.
Advocate Pikoli, that is correct.
Right. Now, as I understand it from your affidavit, Advocate Pikoli then gave you quite an important exercise.
That is correct.
And what was that?
It was to chair a task team that was set up to review TRC-related cases and to getting agreement on the police providing investigative capacity.
Okay, let's just stop there for a moment. You will recall that much earlier you indicated that the one policeman who had been assigned, certainly to the Goldstone inquiry cases, had been removed and the dockets had been sent back. You remember your evidence?
Yes.
All right. Was part of the task team, the role of the task team, to attend to that challenge that had arisen?
Yeah, to basically to all the TRC cases that the NDPP, Mr. Nuka, had instructed should be handed over to the PCLU.
Yes.
That is the 400 or so dockets.
Okay. Now, when was the first meeting of the task team? I think you deal with that at paragraph 40 of your affidavit.
Yes, it was on the 12th of October 2006. The first meeting was actually chaired by Mr. Pikoli himself, but I was also present there, and Advocate Ackerman was also present.
Did anything of significance happen at that meeting?
Well, the idea was to inform the other parties of the establishment of the task team and to outline exactly what the task team was expected to achieve.
And who were the other parties in that task team?
There was a senior representative from South African Police Services. I cannot actually remember his name, and well, there was of course the National Prosecuting Authority, and there was also someone from the Department of Justice, but I cannot remember who it was, and there was a representative from the National Intelligence Agency. I still remember that it was Mr. Jafta.
And were specific roles given to each of these state institutions, the NPA, the police, the NIA?
Yeah, well, in particular, the role of the police was to provide, to agree on the police providing investigative capacity.
And let's deal with that issue as the meetings unfold. But what was the role, for example, of the NIA?
I could not understand, but they were there, they participated. I do not have an explanation for that.
How did you feel, Dr. Ramaite, about the participation of people like the SAPS, NIA, in the task team?
Chairperson, I could understand the participation and, in fact, the importance of the SAPS being there, because they were the ones who were the investigative capacity.
Yes.
So the idea was the SAPS would agree to provide investigative capacity. But with respect, I have no idea.
Now, in paragraph 41, you deal with what happened at the second meeting of the task team.
Yeah, the second meeting was held on the
The task team.
Yeah, the second meeting was held on the 25th of October. Advocate Ackerman presented an audit report on all the TRC cases which the PCLU were handling. And again, the need for investigative capacity to attend to these cases was discussed. I do recall that the SABC representative was Mr. Likalala, investigative capacity with the national...
Investigations needed to be done. If the investigations were not to be done by the police, just in terms of our structure relating to crime investigation, who would do the investigations?
Yeah, as I've said, even before there had been challenges out at these meetings.
Was any, from the time you were acting NDPP and actively involved in the task team, was any reason given for the reluctance of the police to be involved in investigations of TRC-related matters?
It was not clear at that early stage, but I think it later became clear at the subsequent meeting. And then Advocate Ackerman then informed the meeting that Reverend Chicani had left the matter in the hands of the NPA. That any resolution, I then reported this development and outcome of the meeting to Advocate Bikoli.
What?
Well, the Chicana matter was actually, we were discussing provision of investigative capacity in respect of all the cases. But then suddenly the SABS raised the Chicana matter and said that the National Commissioner had specifically said that Reverend Chicani was not. That is absolutely correct.
No, sorry, Mr.
Meeting, you say, which took place in early December, when Deputy Commissioner Jacobs indicated that the Commissioner was not prepared to provide investigative capacity. But again, it seems that was only in relation to the Chicane matter.
Yes, again, the focus, the emphasis really was on the Chicane matter. You know, as if it was only the Chicane matter which was the subject matter of our work. But I mean, it became clear that it extended to all other cases. I mean, if he was not prepared to provide investigative capacity in the Chicana matter, that was an indication that there was no will to provide investigative capacity in the other matters. That's how I interpreted it.
But was that made clear to the task team?
Yes, it was actually made clear to the task
That
team.
it was not in relation to the Chicane matter where the investigative capacity was not being provided, but it was with regard to the TRC-related cases in general.
Chairperson, what happened at this meeting was that the meeting had actually degenerated into only the Chicana matter, but it was clear that that was put forward as an example. But I mean, the meeting had actually degenerated into a focus on the Chicana matter because, I mean, that was the matter that actually You know, I mean, I suppose that it was known that we were ready with the matter.
Following from what the chairperson has asked, as I understand it, the role of the task team, and you set this out in earlier in your affidavit, that at paragraph 40 you say in any positive role in sort of unlock.
When we raised this thing was, well, that was the decision of the National Commissioner.
The Commissioner.
Yes, yes. And subsequent to that, in my discussion with Advocate Pikoli, we then agreed that Advocate Pikoli should directly approach the National Commissioner to resolve this impasse.
So was this after the December meeting?
Yeah, at the end of the meeting, I went to Advocate Pikoli's office and informed of the developments, and then we discussed what needs to happen, and he made a commitment that he was going to discuss the matter with the National Commissioner himself.
All right. Now the task team, based on the information that is contained in your affidavit, holds this meeting in December. You then don't refer to the task team in the rest of your affidavit. Did the task team meet again in 2007?
I do not recall. No, I do not recall the task team meeting. What we had agreed after the meeting had disbanded, between me and Advocate Pikoli, we had agreed that Advocate Pikoli was going to have a meeting with the National Commissioner, and I believe that's what happened. But I cannot say much about that.
Did Advocate Pikoli discuss with you? You recall that you are his representative. He specifically appointed you to this task in your capacity as Deputy NDPP.
Yes.
Right. Now, there are these meetings from October to December. In December, it's now decided that the the heads of the two units, that's the NDPP and the police, will meet. That's Advocate Pikoli and Commissioner Selebi.
Yeah. After at the end of the meeting of December, I went to report to Advocate Pikoli and reported to him what had happened, and then we had a discussion between me and Advocate Pikoli, wherein Advocate Pikoli agreed to meet and actually made a commitment to meet with the National Commissioner of Police, Mr. Selebi, to resolve the impasse.
I'm saying this, I'm asking the next set of questions against this context. Clearly, from what you express in your affidavit, you were concerned about whether the task team was being effective or not.
Yes, that's what. In fact, that's what I said to him was. It's not working, and I, as chairperson, cannot take it any further, because when we raised the issue with Deputy National Commissioner Jacobs, he referred to the National Commissioner. So the only rational thing that was left for me was to suggest to Advocate Pikoli to take it up with the National Commissioner.
Now, I'm saying, and if you just focus on the question I'm asking, you were concerned.
Yes, I was.
You had been assigned this role by Advocate Pikoli.
Correct, yeah.
Right. You say to Advocate Pikoli, this is not working.
Yes.
Between the two of you, you say, okay, the two heads will meet now.
Yes.
That's Mr. Pikoli and Commissioner Selebi.
That is correct.
Did you then discuss the matter with Advocate Pikoli?
Thereafter, I do not recall us discussing the matter. I mean, we were then waiting for the feedback arising from Mr. Piccoli and National Commissioners meeting.
But as far as you are aware, nothing nothing positive came out of that.
I'm trying to, I do not quite follow.
So, as I understand it, there's now an impasse.
Yes.
You and Mr. Piccoli say the way to resolve this impasse is for Mr. Piccoli to talk to Commissioner Kuselebi.
That is correct.
Now I'm asking, from what you know, did anything positive come out of that interaction between Mr. Piccoli and
Yeah,
Commissioner Kuselebi?
from what I know, and that was at a later stage, when Mr. Piccoli was suspended, that in fact,
we will come to Mr. Piccoli's suggestion, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but that happens in September 2007, nearly a year after the task team is set up.
yeah, I mean, I honestly do not know, whether and when Mr. Piccoli had a meeting with the National Commissioner. All we had agreed between me and him was that he was going to meet with the National Commissioner. That's as far as I can take it.
Yes, but so as far as the handing over of the baton on that issue goes, your role stops in December 2006.
Yes.
Okay. And did you chair or did you attend any further task team meeting?
I did not chair or attend any further task team.
Do you know whether any task team meetings were held?
As far as I know, no further task team meetings were held, because I would have known. I was the head of the PCLU.
Yes, and you were the NDPP's representative.
Yes.
at the task
Yes,
team.
that's correct.
So we can assume now that nothing happened in respect of unlocking this logjam.
Yes.
Now, you were then, and I interrupted you, and for that I apologize, you were then dealing with the suspension of Advocate Piccoli. And you deal with that in paragraph 45 of your affidavit.
Yeah, September 2007, Advocate Piccoli was suspended as NDPP, and then Advocate Mukoteji Mphe SC was appointed as acting NDPP. And then thereafter, Advocate Ackerman then came to me and told him that the acting NDPP, Advocate Mphe, had relieved him of his duties in relation to the TRC matters.
Can I ask you this? As I understand your role as Deputy National Director of Public Prosecutions, and you retained that role after Mr. Piccoli became NDPP.
Yeah, I retained that role, still responsible for the PCLU, that is the National Special Services Division, and Advocate Piccoli.
Right.
But subsequently, I assumed different other roles under different national directors of public prosecutions.
We'll get to the further roles. At the time Advocate Piccoli was suspended, you were still the head of the PCLU was still under your supervision.
That is correct.
Right. Now, Advocate Mphe comes in and relieves Ackerman.
That is correct. That is what Advocate Ackerman told me.
So, but I want to go one step earlier.
Okay.
You, Advocate Ackerman, had been appointed on your recommendation.
Yes.
Right. And you were happy with the way he had been performing.
Absolutely. I was absolutely happy.
Now, Mr. Mshe comes in, and the next thing that you hear, well, not the next thing, but as far as this appointment goes, is Advocate Ackerman saying to you, look, I've now been removed as the head of the PCLU.
Yes.
And that was by Mr. Mshe.
Yes.
Just I want to ask you is, did Mr. Mshe discuss that with you before he took that decision?
No, he did not.
You, in fact, heard it from Mr. Ackerman.
That is correct.
And what was your reaction?
Well, I was surprised, because Advocate Ackerman was the lawfully appointed special director responsible for the PCLU.
As I understood, he had been appointed by proclamation, by
Yes.
President's proclamation.
That is correct.
Now, did you confront Mr. Mshe and say, but look, he is under my direct supervision. How could you do this?
I did not. I did not.
Can I just ask again, and I just want to understand the atmosphere or the aura in the offices of the NPA. A major decision, the PCLU is now handling all TRC cases. I'm
Yes.
asking.
Yeah.
Now, the head of the PCLU is removed from office. The person who directly supervises the PCLU is you. You are not told. How did you react? I'm talking about as a professional person now.
I was not happy. I did not raise it directly with him, but I did raise the issue at the executive committee meeting, where all the DPPs and the special directors were there, and then where Advocate Ackerman was also there as part of EXCO. But
Sorry, carry on.
yeah, but the acting NDPP Advocate Mshe said, well, that's his decision. And I mean, that was the end of the matter. These things happen. They have happened before in the NPA.
But isn't that what the Constitution, in a sense, guards against? It doesn't only protect the NDPP. As I understand the Constitution and the National Prosecuting Act, what it does is it protects the independence of prosecutors in terms of United Nations guidelines.
That is correct, but on the other hand, it's very difficult to actually undermine the prerogative, because at the end of the day, it's the prerogative of the NDPP who fulfills which functions. It has happened to me. I mean, I've literally fulfilled all the functions in the NPA, starting from special services, prosecutions, administration. Depends on the various NDPPs.
And if you confront him, that would be career limiting.
Well, for me, that thought came to my mind, but I mean, I really brushed it off, because I believed that in whatever capacity I can serve, I will, my interest was really, the success of the NPA, having been part of its formation, and I was really keen to serve in whatever capacity I was assigned. It's correct, it's career limiting, it is, but that was never a major thought in my mind.
Who was appointed in place of Mr. Ackerman?
Excuse me?
Who was appointed as the head of the PCLU in place of Mr. Ackerman?
No one was appointed. In fact, Mr. Advocate Mche assigned the functions to Chris McAdam.
As the head of the PCLU?
No. He did not appoint him as the head of the PCLU. He only assigned him, with dealing with the cases, to the exclusion of Advocate Ackerman.
And what was Mr. Ackerman to do, having been removed from
He focused on other work that he had. I do recall, if memory serves me well, there were other cases involving foreign military assistance, which was actually quite urgent, and there were, one or two other cases under the Rome Statute. Yeah, that he focused his attention on.
Well, can I just ask you? You say he was assigned to other cases which were urgent. And I'm just trying to work out, if you triaging, putting in place the pecking order of importance, I would imagine that the TRC cases, given the length of time between the end of the TRC process, and we're now looking at 2007, 2008, that they would in fact attain a degree of priority.
Certainly, yeah, I agree.
In fact, that is exactly what Mr. Nguka had done. He said these are the priority cases.
Yes, indeed.
Now, as far as your knowledge goes, was this impasse about investigators ever resolved?
Yeah, well, I can speak from my general knowledge as part of the executive committee. They were not, well, they were really, during my time, never really resolved. But as I was saying earlier, during Mr. Nasana's time, I was assigned to be head of the National Prosecution Service responsible for the DPPs. So I was no longer responsible for the PCLU.
Yes. And as far as those TRC matters, or all TRC matters concerned, it seems from your affidavit that your direct involvement in the matters and in the various committees like the task team ended about 2008 when Mr. Mshe took over.
Yes.
Okay. Now is that why your affidavit doesn't deal with developments relating to TRC matters after 2008?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, you then say in relation to your knowledge, and you might remember much earlier in your evidence, I pointed out to you that you had been told by way of Rule 33 notices that you are mentioned in statements or affidavits by different people.
Yes.
And the three people about whom you were told were Mr. Kalata, Mr. Ackerman, and Mr. Piccoli.
And I think as Mr. McAdam as well.
Okay.
I cannot remember whether that's mentioned in the notice, but yeah, Mr. McAdam as well does mention my name.
Okay. Can I then say that you then say that you've read the affidavits of Mr. Kalata, Mr. Ackerman, and Mr. Piccoli, and you then say you confirm the contents of all of those affidavits to the extent that reference is made to yourself?
That is correct.
All right. Now, I don't want to leave this too vaguely. Can I just say to you, I've looked at the Kalata affidavit, and it seems to me that the issue that is of direct concern to you in the Kalata affidavit is, Chairperson a letter written by Dr. Ramiete, which appears as Annexure FA26 to the Kalata Papers, and it starts at page 629 of those papers. Now, Mr. Ramiete, Dr. Ramiete, the letter that I am referring to is a letter you wrote to Ms. Nkadimeng. Do you remember that letter?
Yes, I do.
And you've seen that letter?
Yes.
You have a copy of that letter with you?
I
I don't need you to have it, but you've seen that letter.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Now, in that letter, there is, and it's a 4-page letter, you set out all the details of all the steps that the NPA had taken to bring this case to conclusion.
That is correct.
Now, you signed the letter.
Yes, I did.
Where did the information relating to this letter come from?
The information came from Advocate Chris McAdam. In fact, upon receipt of the letter, I called Advocate McAdam.
Sorry, on receipt of what letter?
The letter that you're referring to.
Now, this letter is a letter to Ms. Nkadime.
Yeah, no. I'm referring to
a letter by
letter
her
from,
to you.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. So you were saying
upon receipt of that letter, I then called Advocate McAdam and I inquired from him about the TRC cases. I think Advocate Ackerman could have been busy with another matter. That's why I called Advocate McAdam. And then I asked him to look into all the TRC matters and draft a response for me. He then drafted the response, and then he came to me with the response, with a draft response. We discussed it, and then I said I'm happy with it, and then I signed it.
all right. So this letter is not all the TRC cases. This just deals with Ms. Simelani's sister's matter.
That's a response to the Simelane letter, but also providing some background.
Okay. So you confirm that you wrote this letter, but based on what Mr. McAdam had told you relating to this investigation.
I confirm.
Yes. Then in the affidavit of Mr. Ackerman is, I've already read to you paragraph 17, and there are other matters in his affidavit which you also deal with in your affidavit. You confirm the correctness of what Mr. Mr. Ackerman said in that, in his affidavit.
I confirm.
Except, of course, the difference between
Yeah.
you and him in relation to whether you had told him that the instruction to you had come from the minister.
Yeah.
Then can I ask you, in relation to the affidavit of Mr. Bikoli, now that affidavit, Commissioners, is FA 22, and it's an FA 22 to the Kalata Papers. It starts at page 564, and just want to read to you, because he deals with the Chicani matter. And you'll recall that that's one of the issues you mentioned when you were mentioning Mr. Bikoli.
Yes.
All right. This is what he says in paragraph 23. He says, the decision to prosecute those implicated in the attempted murder through poisoning of former church leader and head of the South African Council of Churches, the Reverend Frank Chicani, on 23rd April 1989 at the Jan Smuts Airport, Kempton Park, the Chicani matter, saw the unraveling of the attempts by the NPA to hold apartheid-era perpetrators accountable for their crimes. you confirm that assessment?
Yeah, I do.
That, in fact, that's what you were saying. That's what the minister said.
Yes,
That all these cases must now stop.
that is correct.
And then at paragraph 24, Mr. Piccoli goes on, the initial decision to prosecute 3 security branch members, Colonel Smith, former captains Otto and van Staden, was taken prior to my appointment as NDPP. Says this decision was taken in November 2004 by Dr. Silas Ramiete in his capacity as acting National Director of Public Prosecutions. You confirm
I
that?
confirm.
And he says, however, he instructed that this matter and all other TRC matters, cases be held over pending the development of guidelines to deal with the TRC cases that were to be incorporated into the prosecution policy. You confirm
I
that?
confirm that.
Now, I just want to ask you to, in conclusion of your evidence, and you know what this commission is about, and that's why we've concentrated on those issues, the stopping of TRC investigations into TRC cases and the prosecutions thereof.
Yes.
You then say, talking about the moratorium, you discuss your reflections on that at paragraphs 50, 51, and 52 of your affidavit. Will you tell the commissioners what your assessment of that moratorium is?
I regard the imposition of a moratorium by the executive or a member of the executive on the prosecution of TRC cases purely on the basis of developing and adopting guidelines to deal specifically with these cases as a form of political interference. And then the development and formulation of prosecution guidelines by a committee consisting of directors generals of the security cluster is inconsistent with section 1795A and bracket B brackets of the Constitution and section 22(1) of the National Prosecuting Authority Act 1998 and unlawful. I also regard the attempt to involve a body consisting of directors generals to make recommendations on who to prosecute and who not to prosecute as an encroachment into prosecutorial independence. Should I continue?
And then at paragraph 53,
There's no doubt in my mind that the effective investigation and prosecution of TRC cases were severely hampered by political interference.
and in respect of yourself, would that be a reference to Minister Mabandla's instruction to you?
Yeah, but not only that, but the involvement of the national commissioner, and in particular the suggestion that the recommendations will be made by a committee consisting of directors general. To me, that was executive encroachment into prosecutorial independence.
Chairperson, that is the evidence we wish to lead in respect of this witness, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Soni. Mr. Vani, any clarificatory questions?
Yes, Chair. We have a...
Only one of your microphones is on. Are they both on?
Yes.
I think, Commissioner, they are. Let's just do a sound test.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yes. Chairperson, we have quite a few questions of clarification to tie up various loose ends.
Yes.
With the leave of the Chair, Dr. Ramiata, can I refer you to your statement, paragraph 11.
Sorry, just come again.
Your statement at paragraph 11, that'll be, looks like it's page 235, or page 4 of your statement.
Yes.
So there you mentioned that you were part of a team that identified the need to establish special units, including a unit which you referred to as the PCLU, and that at some point all the cases from the provinces, were, at least the TRC cases, were referred to the PCLU. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And can I just ask, why did you decide that it was best to remove the cases from the provincial offices to a central office at the PCLU?
Well, we felt that those cases were priority crimes. So in other words, they are cases that required special focus. And that arose from our assessment of the effectiveness of the former attorneys generals and the DPPs, because the prosecutions were more generalized and there was no specific focus on areas which we had identified as requiring priority and specific focus. So a dedicated focus, in other words. And that was the rationale behind it.
Thank you. And just further down that page, at paragraph 13, you said you first became aware of the dockets relating to conflicts of the past while you were DPP for Northern Gauteng, and that a significant number of these cases featured in the TRC. Can I ask whether there was a case against a former General Krappies Engelbrecht? Did that particular case come across your desk?
I am not I did not have access to documents, but the name Engelbrecht featured prominently. I still remember the name Engelbrecht even when I was at the DPP's office. I do. I cannot recall the details, but the name does ring a bell.
My apologies, I thought my phone was on silent, Commissioners. Yes, and that case does feature in the Kalata affidavit, and it's also featured, I think, in the Ackerman affidavit. Just to bring it to the attention of the Commissioners, General Krappies Engelbrecht served for a period during the 1980s as the head of a unit by the name of C1, Section C, within the security branch. And within C1 was an entity known as Vlakplaas, which is quite well known, and I'm assuming that the Commissioners are familiar with the role of Vlakplaas. And it's then Commander Eugene de Kock. So Eugene de Kock reported to Krappies Engelbrecht. So I believe it is in the affidavit of Anton Ackerman that there was an expectation that dockets such as those dealing with Krappies Engelbrecht would be taken further. But from what we've been able to pick up, it wasn't taken further, and in fact a decision not to prosecute General Engelbrecht was taken. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not familiar with well, I don't have the details about, well, let me say I'm not familiar with that, but I do believe that Advocate Ackerman would have those details. He in fact was responsible for the investigation and prosecution. I'm certain about that in the de Kock matter.
Thank you. Commissioners, just for the record, in Bundle 1, there are a few references in the Kalata affidavit to the case against former Police General Krappies Engelbrecht. And in a report compiled by Advocate McAdam, dated 15 May 2003, which is annexed to his affidavit, which is FA5, paragraph 131.4 of the Kalata affidavit. There's reference to a decision not to prosecute General Krappies Engelbrecht. I can also mention, Dr. Maita, that one of the investigators who was with the Goldstone Commission, I think you might know him, Frank Dutton,
Yes, I do.
late Frank Dutton. Yeah. So he mentioned that there was a case against Krappies Engelbrecht, and he did a PI application in 2016, and the application came back with the reason for not providing that particular docket, and it was said that the docket couldn't be found. Can I ask what happens to dockets in cases where a decision is not to prosecute? Are they kept somewhere at the NPA, or are they disposed of?
If the decision is not to prosecute, they go back to the police. They are returned to the police.
Thank you. And if we can turn to the next one, paragraph 16, at the bottom of page 5, you mentioned that for most of your time as DPP North Gauteng, Ackerman was busy with the Vodapasson trial, so not much attention was paid to the bulk of the cases arising from the Goldstone Commission. And you said there was only one police investigator who was part of the team Goldstone assigned to deal with these cases. Now, you mentioned that you can't remember the name of that investigator. Of course, it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
But can I just put a name to you and see if it rings a bell? Andrew Lisk.
No, I know Andrew Lisk from the during his time as a chief investigator in the DSO. I do not recall him I do not recall him as an investigator prior to that. It would not have been Andrew Lisk.
Okay, thank you.
And Andrew Lisk was not there when I was DPP in Pretoria.
And then you point out that that police investigator was subsequently withdrawn by the National Commissioner in order to return all dockets in his possession under his control to the office of the DPP. Did the National Commissioner ever explain why he decided to withdraw that police investigator?
He did not.
Okay. And can I just check, in terms of the timeline, approximately what year was that?
I became DPP in, I cannot remember, I can just check the month, I should have it somewhere here, in 1998. So that would have been in 1999, I think.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Jackie Selebi, I think he was appointed in the year 2000, and prior to him it was National Commissioner George Fibers.
Yeah, it could. I cannot deny that it could have been 2000, but I really cannot recall. But that was quite some time after I had been appointed.
Okay.
I cannot recall. It could have been 2000.
Yes. And sorry to have to ask you to rack your brains in terms of years. In the next paragraph, you say, soon after the dockets were returned to the office of the DPP, I approached the NDPP, Mr. Nguka, and raised my concern about the lack of investigative capacity to deal with these cases. Again, was that approximately what year would that have been?
Are you referring to the year? Sorry.
Yes, if you can give us a sense of the year approximately.
Yeah.
Was it also around 2000 or?
Yeah, it's now muddling up my mind, but as I say, it's a long time ago. So I mean, it could have been because I was appointed. Could have been. Yeah, I cannot place my finger on the exact date I was appointed. It could have been 2000 because I left the DPP's office to Mr. Nyuka's office in 2001.
Okay.
I could be mistaken with the exact year.
No, we understand. We're dealing with matters decades ago. It's very difficult to recall precisely. If I can then refer you to page 8 of your affidavit, and a paragraph 26, you make reference to some cases. I'll just read it to you. During 2003, 2004 and 2005, the PCLU identified a number of TRC-related cases for further investigation and possible prosecution. It instituted prosecutions against Eugene Terreblanche, Lani, and then the suspects in the PEPCO 3 matter.
Mm-hmm.
Those particular cases, am I right in saying that those matters had already previously been investigated?
Yeah, yes, you are right.
And so even though the PCLU didn't have assigned investigators, it could proceed with those cases because they were relying on past investigations.
Yes.
And Commissioner Como correctly pointed out that one of the accused, Kole, died in 2018. And just for the record, and so that you know, according to our records, Mr. Van Sail died in 2011. And while we're on the PEPCO 3 matter, you point out in paragraph 27 at the top of page 9 that the review of the amnesty decision in the PEPCO 3 matter was delayed by some 5 years. Now, in Advocate Ackerman's affidavit, he attributes the 5-year delay to the failure of the Department of Justice to file their papers. Can you express a view as to why it took some 5 years to file papers by the Department of Justice?
I cannot. I cannot, unfortunately. I don't know.
Right. Okay, let's move on. And just and this might be just a small error, but I noticed in your transcript when you were talking about the interactions between Mr. Ackerman and Mr. Wagner, and then subsequently between yourself and the minister, the name Wasserman is referred to in the transcript. And I thought, well, maybe Wasserman was the official who called from the Department of Justice, who called Advocate Ackerman. Was it possible that Wasserman actually is just a mistake and you meant to say Wagner?
No, I was referring to Wagner.
Wagner,
Because,
okay,
yeah,
all right.
Mr. Ackerman mentioned an official. He did not mention a name, but he mentioned Wagner, the attorney for the accused.
Okay. So in the transcript, and that was your interview with the evidence leaders, so the reference to Wasserman there is actually should be a reference to Wagner.
Yeah, from what Ackerman actually only mentioned Wagner. I remember the name Wagner.
Okay. Yes, okay, so I think we can assume that the Wasserman in the transcript is actually Wagner. And then on the next page of your statement, paragraph 32, here you detail your telephone call from the Minister of Justice, Mrs. Mabandla, and she tells you that there is a task team which was appointed by the Directors General Forum. That task team, was that the amnesty task team that was set up by the DG's forum?
She did not specifically mention amnesty task team, but she did refer to a task team.
Okay. Did you subsequently get to hear of this amnesty task team that the forum had established?
Yeah, I heard about it, but I really have no knowledge of what it was, what it consisted of.
Okay. And if we turn to the next page of your statement, that's page 11. You've already indicated in your evidence in chief that when you raised your concerns around lawfulness and constitutionality of the guidelines with the minister, her response was just to insist on the cases being suspended. Was there any attempt on the part of the minister to engage on the issues around lawfulness and constitutionality?
No, she said, well, we must just wait for the guidelines.
And then if we go to the top of the page, paragraph 33, where you point out that you received an instruction from the minister that investigation and prosecution of TRC-related cases must be put on hold. Can I ask, were you obliged to follow that instruction?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. No, I mean, because the minister has got ministerial responsibility, but then again, that ministerial responsibility does not extend to as far as giving an instruction to a prosecutor either to do something or not to do something. I could have resisted it, but
Could or should?
Sorry.
Or should?
Yeah, well, even should, Commissioner. Yeah, I should, and I can only say that perhaps with hindsight, but it's difficult for me to even tell. I mean, if I was faced with a similar situation, how would I deal with it? So that's those are the dynamics.
And just following up on the Commissioner's question, assuming you had refused and you told the Minister that you wouldn't follow the instruction, what do you think would have happened or could have happened?
It's difficult for me to say. I don't know. Possibly I would have been fired or I would have been removed. I mean, anything could have happened. But I really don't want to speculate, about what could have happened and what happened subsequently and what did not happen subsequently. I don't think that's really my terrain with respect.
And on the issue of the TRC cases, post this exchange in November 2004, did you have any further engagement with Minister Mabandla on the TRC cases?
No. I did not.
Let's move on in your statement. At paragraph 40 on page 12, you mentioned that in October 2006, the NDPP assigned you to chair a task team to review the TRC related cases. And you also mentioned that it consisted of various other office holders, and you've already been asked questions about what the NIA was doing on that task team, so I won't repeat that question. There is a report from the Amnesty task team about the setting up of this next task team. I think they call it the interdepartmental task team. Commissioners, that's reflected in bundle 1 at page 69 from paragraph 155. And actually the report, the secret report of the Amnesty task team is attached to the Kalata affidavit at FA 24. And at page 520, at paragraph 3.21, they list those, not the names unfortunately, but the office holders who meant to comprise the interdepartmental task team. And besides the ones you've already mentioned, there was also meant to be representatives from correctional services.
Yes.
And a representative from the Office of the President.
Yes.
So besides the individuals that you've mentioned, do you recall that there were others present as well from the executive?
I agree with you that there was also correctional services and someone from the presidency. That's correct.
And one of the issues which you've discussed at length, so I'm not going to repeat what's been put to you in your evidence in chief, but one of the big issues was the need for investigative capacity, which you then raise in paragraph 41. Now, on the question of the need for investigators, were you aware that advocates Ackerman and McAdam had in previous years, in fact as far back as 2003, attempted to procure investigators firstly from the Scorpions, the DSO,
Yes.
by approaching advocate Jeff Ledwaba, and then when advocate Ledwaba refused to provide them investigators, they went to the SAPS. They approached the head of detective services, Commissioner De Beer.
Yes.
Were you aware?
Yes,
of
I was aware of that.
So you were aware that as early as 2003, both the DSO and the SAPS had already declined to give investigators.
Yes, that's correct.
Commissioners, that's set out in Bundle 1 at page 59, paragraph 134, and also at page 60, paragraph 137. If I can just put what Commissioner De Beer said to Advocates Ackerman and McAdam, his response was that they would only take on the cases if the President directed them to do so in writing. Did you hear that?
No, I did not. Okay. I did not hear that.
And as far as we know, that instruction in writing from the President never came.
I did not know.
You're not aware of that? Okay.
No.
Further down that page, you make reference to Police Deputy Commissioner Jacobs. Am I right in saying that he was the head of legal services at the SABC?
In the police, yeah, in SABC, that's correct.
Yes, and you've mentioned in your evidence in chief that it wasn't just the Chicani matter that didn't have investigators, it was the other TRC cases. Then can we turn to paragraph 44, and this is where Deputy Commissioner Jacobs says that the function of the task team was to make a final recommendation to this committee of Directors General, who in turn would make a recommendation on who to prosecute and who not to. So was the understanding that the NPA could not act without a recommendation from that DG's forum?
That was the understanding.
Now, in your evidence in chief, you stated that you had a concern that the task team, I think here we're talking about the interdepartmental task team, the one that you had been sitting on, that you had a concern around its effectiveness. I'd like to put to you a short quote from Advocate McAdam, who was also sitting on that task team. Commissioners, the quote is from Advocate McAdam's affidavit. It's also reproduced in the Kalata affidavit. That's at page, it's in bundle 1 at page 98, paragraph 229. So, Advocate McAdam, he mentions that the representatives on this interdepartmental task team included Ackerman and yourself, and that on occasions he stood in for Ackerman. And this is what he said about that task team.
Come closer to your mic.
Apologies, Chair.
You're talking to yourself.
Which I often do, Commissioner. The task team was predominantly comprised of members of the intelligence community who were more intent on cross-examining me as to why matters should be investigated rather than addressing the issue of all the outstanding cases. Since you were present at some of those meetings, what's your view on what Advocate McAdam had to say about that task team?
Yeah, other than, I think, a gentleman called Mr. Jafta, I cannot remember or recall who else from the NIA were there. But he is certainly correct when he said that, people from NIA, I cannot remember whether it was Jafta or one of the others who were there, were intent on actually, questioning him rather than on addressing the issue of providing investigative capacity.
And NIA is National Intelligence
National Intelligence Agency, that is correct.
I would just like to point out a potential error in your evidence in chief, or rather, to be fair, I don't think it was your error. It was put to you by my learned friend for the evidence leaders that soon after the suspension from office of Advocate Pekoli, Advocate Ackerman was removed from office. As I understand it, he wasn't removed from office, he was just relieved of his duties.
Yes, he was not removed from office.
That's his evidence.
Apologies, Chair.
That's his evidence, that he was relieved of his duties, not that he was removed from office.
Yes, indeed. That was
Yes.
his evidence. Relieved of his duties just in respect of the TRC cases. And as you then pointed out, he was able to pursue other cases at the PCLU that were unrelated to the
Yes,
TRC
that
cases.
is correct.
Yes, because Mr. Ackerman only retired on the 31st of, what is it? I think 31st. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I think it was 2013,
The
Commissioner.
31st March 2013.
Yeah, 31st March 2013, yes.
Let me just see if there's any other matters we need to clarify. Yes, if I can just return to your evidence in relation to the exchanges you had in November of 2004 in relation to stopping the arrests of the suspects in the Frank Chicani attempted murder matter. So it was put to you by my learned friend that you had advised Advocate Ackerman that you had been instructed by Minister Mabandla to take that course of action, whereas in Advocate Ackerman's affidavit, he simply says it can be safely assumed that instruction came from a political level. So can we just revisit the timeline? Because as I understood your evidence, apart from what happened on the day in question, there were subsequent, well, let me ask you, were there subsequent meetings that you and Ackerman had to discuss that matter and the way forward?
After my telephone call from the minister and my subsequent discussion with Ackerman, there was no further discussion relating to the TRC matters.
I see. And so did all that happen on one singular day?
Yes, it all happened on the same day.
Right. And you've already mentioned that NDPP Pekoli had asked you to attend these task team meetings to deal with the TRC cases. Do you recall the perhaps the underlying reason why he wanted you there?
Yeah, well, first of all, I was the head of the National Special Services Division, which was actually responsible for the PCLU. I mean, in that capacity, I had been involved at a supervisory level in relation to the TRC cases.
So in Mr. Pekoli's affidavit, he makes reference, and we'll find the references in due course, but just to save time, he alleges at least that there was some animosity between the other representatives there, particularly the police and others, in relation to Advocate Ackerman.
That is correct. Yeah, that's one of the reasons. But that is, I say that's one of the reasons because Advocate Ackerman was more, operational. The purpose of that meeting was to try and resolve issues at a more managerial level. But then we needed Ackerman to make inputs because he was the operational person.
Indeed. Then NDP Pikoli goes so far as to say that there were even objections to his presence.
Yes, correct.
At that meeting, and as I understand Advocate Pikoli's evidence, he felt that your presence would help to get things moving.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, there is also reference to interactions around trying to get the police to take up these cases, and perhaps I can draw the attention of the commissioners to paragraph page 114 of the Kalata affidavit. That's bundle 1. Paragraph 277. And this is also a reference to that letter that my learned friend for the evidence leaders put to you. That's your letter to Tembi and Kadamang. That's attached to the Kalata affidavit at FA 26. But in that letter, you pointed out that since the Gunwala Commission had kicked off, and you recall that that was the commission appointed by President Mbeki to look into the suitability of Advocate Pikoli remaining in office. You pointed out in that letter that the SAPS declined to further investigate the matters pending the conclusion of the Gunwala Commission. You recall that?
Yes.
And what did you think of the SAPS saying, well, we're not going to investigate until this commission has finished? Did you see a connection between the two?
Yeah, I do not have, direct evidence of that, but, I think it really became clear that at the end of it, it turned into an issue revolving around Mr. Pikoli.
Right, but in your view, just because a commission of inquiry was taking place into Advocate Pikoli's position as NDPP, in your view, the SAPS saying they had to wait until the end of the commission, was that a justifiable reason not to investigate?
It was not justifiable at all.
Do you recall a situation arising where the SAPS put up a memorandum claiming that the PCLU under Advocate Ackerman was about to proceed with cases against the ANC leadership?
Mr. Vani, that would be a clarificatory question in respect of which aspect of his evidence?
Yes, Chairperson, that hasn't been raised previously,
Yes.
so it's not, strictly speaking,
Yes,
an aspect of clarification.
Yes, I
If the
would
Chair
rule
wishes
it
me not
out.
to put it out, I'll refrain.
I would rule it out.
In that case, I'll drop that
Yes.
question. And there's also another question, Chair, relating to the attempt by Advocate Ackerman to secure investigators through meeting with Deputy Commissioner Raymond Lala, but that was not canvassed in the evidence in
Yes.
chief,
If it was not canvassed, then it can't be a clarificatory question.
as the Commission pleases.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairs. Those are our questions of clarification.
Thank you. Ms. Ranto?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you so much. Commissioner, firstly, before I go to only 2 questions of clarification, we wish to record our discomfort. And we were at pains to restrain ourselves from objecting against the line of questioning by Mr. Vani. But we do want to record that we felt that it borders on the line of cross-examination. And I can make just 2 examples insofar as the police is concerned. Mr. Vani put a version about Mr. General Jacobs being a legal official. It was never a matter that was put before the witness, either in his statement or in his oral testimony. And the list is endless. Commissioners, we just thought we wanted to really record our discomfort in that line of questioning. And going just on 2 questions of clarification to Dr. Ramaite. Good afternoon, Dr. Ramaite.
Good afternoon.
First one relates to what we informed the commissioners about General Jacobs telling you that the National Commissioner instructed him that there should not be continuation so far as the Reverend Chicani investigation was concerned. You remember when you said you discussed that matter with Advocate Piccoli, and then the 2 of you would have then said there should be a meeting. That was your testimony. You remember that?
Yes.
I wanted to understand that meeting would be with who and by who, arranged by who, or whether it took place. What meeting are we talking about? Because I only got your testimony to say that you discussed the matter with Advocate Piccoli, and you suggested that there should be a meeting. So I needed to know whether that meeting took place, and if so, it was meeting between who and who.
Well, I do not know whether that meeting took place, but my agreement with Mr. Piccoli and his commitment was that he will take the issue up with the National Commissioner in order to resolve the impasse.
So you cannot tell the Commission if there was indeed a meeting that was held?
But Mr. Piccoli himself can tell.
Okay, thank you.
I cannot.
And then just one last question to you. You also informed the Commission that following, I think it was the last meeting of the ITT, and then a specific question, if I'm not mistaken, was from Commissioner Khomo about whether there was a link between the actual collapse of, or let's say the lack of will on the part of the police to pursue cases or investigation of cases related to TRC other than the Chicani one. And I remember you telling the Commission that following that whole discussion about Reverend Chicani, the whole thing turned into chaos. I think you just said the whole thing collapsed, sort of it turned into chaos. And I wanted to understand, what is it that turned into chaos? I'm trying to understand exactly perhaps what you meant by that.
With respect, I do not recall saying that the whole thing degenerated into chaos. But what I wanted to portray was that the focus shifted from the actual intention, that is to agree on the provision of investigative capacity. It then turned into a focus on, the Chicani matter. That's what I intended to portray.
Okay. Yeah, because I needed to understand that you say you never said that, but I think the transcripts will tell, but I remember you saying that the whole thing degenerated into case, but perhaps it helps that you now clarified as to what you meant, and that should suffice from my side. Thank you, Commissioners. That is all from us.
Mr. Kuala?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I also have two questions. I hope to finish in the next 3 minutes. Good afternoon, Dr. Ramaite.
Good afternoon.
I was told a long time ago, you don't say two questions, you say questions on two aspects. Because if you ask the third question,
I will ask
say
for,
you can't come.
I will ask for leave for that, Judge. I have two questions that I want to ask you. They relate to paragraphs 18 and 19. That's the first question. Then the second question is going to relate to paragraph 40 of your statement. I'm not sure if you are at that page now.
You say, sorry, paragraph 18 and 19?
Yes, that's the first aspect.
That would be page 6.
Yes, that would be page 6. Thank you. In those paragraphs, you refer to certain dockets relating to TRC cases that were transferred to first to the office of the NDPP. I'm sure you understand the gist of what you say in paragraph 18 and 19. And at the end of those paragraphs, you say no prosecutions were instituted during that period. What I seek to understand from you, if you may, do you know if any of those dockets were ready for prosecution at that time? Any, not all of them, just any, if there were any that were ready for prosecution?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know if any were ready, because at that stage we still had to do an assessment of the status of the cases. But maybe Advocate Anterman could provide
Sure.
more information. But from where I was standing, we were still busy with the process of ascertaining the status of the status of the dockets.
Okay, no, that's fair. I understand that. And then in paragraph 40, in summary there, you say you were assigned to chair a task team that was to review TRC-related cases and to agree on providing investigating capacity. I'm only interested in the reviewing exercise. What was the aim of that reviewing exercise?
Well, remember that up to that stage, it was only the PCLU that was dealing with the cases. So we wanted to review them together. So in other words, to go through them and to determine which still needed further investigation and the nature and extent of the investigation, and that would have provided an indication as to the investigative capacity that was required.
Okay. So you were reviewing the cases. Am I understanding you correctly?
Well,
you were reviewing the cases to determine the status, whether they are ready, some are ready for prosecution.
Yes. So Counsel, I'm not talking about judicial review because we don't have those powers.
Yes, no.
So
let's use audit. You were just auditing,
yes,
going through the files to check if any of them is ready for prosecution.
That is correct.
And you would then take a decision.
That is correct.
That review. If you want to prosecute, you decide this one will go ahead. This one there is no evidence. We are not going ahead.
or still requires further investigation.
Okay, thank you.
That is correct.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Kwala. Am I missing anyone who needs to be placed on record? Mr. Masugu, I see you. Oh,
In the meantime, good afternoon, Commissioners.
yes,
It's
thank you.
Tsachai Initials T on behalf of the Minister of Justice.
Yes,
We don't have any questions for clarification
thank
for the
you,
witness.
ma'am.
Chair and the commissioners, I can only be placed on the record. I act for Advocate Menzies Melane. and
Yes, thank you,
We have no questions at all.
thank you. Mr. Soni?
We have no further questions for the Dr.
Yes.
Raman.
Mr. Seminya?
Chair, Commissioners, can I ask that we have a short stand down just so as to ascertain where we are with the next proceedings?
Yes.
Just a short
For
stand
how
down.
long?
10
I
minutes should
prefer
suffice.
to be given an estimate in terms of minutes.
10 at
10 minutes?
most. 10 minutes at most.
Will
Chair.
adjourn for 10 minutes?
I
Dr. Ramaite, we wish to express our gratitude for you to having been able to attend these proceedings to come and give evidence. We thank you for that, sir. You are excused now as a witness. You may be recalled to be cross-examined if an application to so cross-examine you is received in due course.
Thank you, Chairperson and Commissioners.
Chair, we had thought we would have better clarity about what we do tomorrow.
Yes.
The AfriForum, quite correctly, are not ready for tomorrow, but we had scheduled them for Wednesday. And there is an intimation by people who are not competent witnesses in these proceedings, indicating their intention to testify. And it is our considered view that they are not competent evidence to be led in respect of those. In the circumstances, we request that the commission be postponed to Wednesday, when
Yes.
we can start with the AfriForum
Yes.
witnesses.
Yes. The witness that will be for AfriForum is Mr. Lisk,
Correct. And
Yes.
other two,
Mr. van der Merwe and Mr.
Yes.
Krill.
correct.
Yes. These proceedings are adjourned until Wednesday at 10 o'clock.
As the commission pleases.